Welcome back, guys. Figured I'd just do a short little video because a lot of people always ask me about buying a Foxbody, whether it's mine or they're searching and looking at one. And there's lots of quick little things that you guys can look out for. And I know that this video has probably been done countless amount of times, but if you're new to my channel or maybe you just want to hear it from me, I figured I'd go ahead and do it. So because this 1988 behind me is actually it's kind of that perfect Foxbody candidate that you would probably find for sale, that's had some modifications done, it's had a paint job, and you know, it's just got those things that have been changed and modified over the years that you don't know what might be hiding underneath those modifications and everything else. So there's certain things that you guys want to look for, especially when a car's been repainted, to find out, is the car a solid Fox, and is it worth buying for you? Is it priced right? Is it well represented for its age, for the mileage and everything else? Well, these cars are getting so old that it's really hard to tell sometimes. So first things first, and excuse for this kind of parked off to the side here in the weeds. It's rained, so the weeds are growing like wildfire. But here we are, folks. 1988 505 speed car, original 505 speed. And it's always easy to identify that by the M code in the VIN number. So if you see that, you know it was originally a 5-liter car. And like I said, the car's been repainted. So we're going to go over a couple little things that can help you when you're looking at potentially buying a Fox. So first things first, you want to look and see if all of the body panels you know, are original, are they true? That's kind of like the first thing that you can tell, because sometimes paint jobs are just an outside respray, sometimes the color change, sometimes they've resprayed the same color or similar color, but they've done the door jambs and they've done everything. So the VIN numbers are the first thing that you kind of want to look for and see if everything matches, if they're still there and they don't have overspray on them. So a lot of guys talk about this in videos, and when things are for sale they say, oh, the car has all its VIN tags, so on and so forth. So the first one that is obviously the most important and the most telling is the one, the main compliance and identification sticker here in the door jamb. So this is going to tell you the year and the month that the car is manufactured. It's going to give you the VIN number and a whole bunch of other details in terms of the weight and everything else. So this number, unless the door has been changed, should match what is on your dash here, right? So if that doesn't match, maybe that door's been changed, or maybe someone's painted over that VIN sticker. But there's another VIN sticker that you can look for that would typically be on the bottom side of this door. And in this case, it's painted over, but that sticker is right there. So again, this car used to be red. You can see it right here, and it's been a color change. Like I said, they've gone ahead and they've painted over that VIN number or that VIN sticker. So you can find another one of those VIN stickers on the passenger side door. In this case, they're all painted over, guys. It's not even really worth trying to match or identify them. There's also one that you would find underneath the trunk lid, typically. And then you would find some on the quarter panels in the rear here, which again, everything's been painted over. So we can't match VIN stickers in this car's case. You know, you'd be able to look underneath the hood as well. So both stickers on the fenders have been painted over. The other sticker that you could look for is on the hood, but this is an aftermarket hood, right? So this doesn't have a VIN sticker, and the front bumper cover would have one typically hiding right here. I'm pretty sure this front bumper cover has been changed, guys, because these rivets are all new and fresh. So all right, front bumper cover has probably been changed. We don't know about the other body panels because the VIN numbers have all been painted over. So you can look for other signs. You can look for alignment to see, you know, has the car been in an accident? You want to make sure all your door jambs and body lines, everything are nice and clean. Just see how the door opens and closes. Like this car, that door opens and closes real nice. Which is a good sign. Nothing's ever been off, nothing's been changed. You always want to check the other side We're on a little bit of a hill here, but that open and closes fine as well. But here, so here's a little bit more of a gap on this fender than expected. So maybe the fender came off, maybe it was changed, we don't know. We know the front bumper cover was changed, so maybe something happened in this corner, right? Another thing that you can look for, especially in the front end, is look for wrinkles on these inner fenders and see if everything is straight and smooth. Now again, this car's been modified. Someone has gone ahead and shaved all the holes out of the engine bay and smoothed things out, which is really nice to look at, but you don't know what was under there originally. Similarly with the frame rails. You know, was there a rust down there before? Did they weld it up? Did they put Bondo over it? You know, what was there prior to all that paint and that work? So those are some questions that you need to ask yourself with this type of car. So that would take you to the underside, and you want to take a look at you know, the inside here. This car has its inner fenders out, so that makes things a little bit easier, but you can check in the back and see how clean things is back there, see if there's any rust or corrosion, and that would probably help give you a good idea if anything else was done in that engine bay. But those strut towers, guys, they can be a problem. Unfortunately, they hold debris and everything else in there, especially in northern cars that might have seen elements and some sand and salt on the roads. They rot out, and if you've seen my yellow car and take a look at that video, if you haven't watched it, I'll actually show you where all the sand and everything else was all stuck in that frame rail and rusted out some of that strut tower. Other areas to look for is actually the door hinge area, right down in here. So this is a very common spot for rust and corrosion to happen. Main reason is Ford didn't get much paint in here from the factory. So if you look in here, that one's pretty clean. So no holes, no corrosion. Look around the rubber boot for where the cables come through for the wiring. Or if it's a no option car, there might be no wiring in here, but just look for corrosion in here. There's always the chance for obvious corrosion in the rear quarter wells here. You know, that's pretty easy to look at, look and see. The bottoms of the doors, the underside of the trunk lid. Again, that's all kind of the standard stuff. Other sneaky spots right underneath these guys. It's always worth just if you pop out the rear plastics here and you take a look on the underside underneath in here, you can see if there's rust up in there. You can always pop out a tail light if you want. Corrosion can happen in here. So if you just pop this weather stripping off, you can see everything here is actually real nice and clean. You want to check your torque boxes underneath. You know, has the car been subframe connected? This car has been. So you can see these subframe connectors right here. Sorry for the weeds. And then you have your torque boxes that are back here. You want to see what kind of condition those torque boxes are in. You want to see if there's any rust in the floorboard and everything else underneath. So those are kind of the telltale issues in terms of body and paint, and to see if something is hiding or something is not right or if something's been changed. You know, with paint jobs that have been done, you want to see if they've removed the trim or if they've masked around it. In this case, it's all been masked. Especially what's really common is nobody takes the time to take out the quarter glass, so these usually end up getting masked off. So you can always tell when a car's been resprayed, and that's really unfortunate. That's my pet peeve, is that when the trim and everything isn't taken off properly if you're going to paint a car. It's like, you know, just take a little bit extra time. It's going to make it look that much better. So looking at this Fox as that example, you know, this was a nitrous car. It had a nitrous bottle mounted down in here on the trunk. The battery is in the trunk. You know, it had that short shifter and the T handle before I changed it, but you can see that, you know, I've only maybe spent about an hour on this car, despite the little ignition issues that I ran into earlier. Just taking off some of the modifications that people would maybe deem extreme, or they would think that the car was, you know, just hammered on and not taken very good care of. Well, the reality is all of these cars have been driven hard, guys, to a certain extent. Unless you found that automatic that wasn't driven very hard, but you know what, that's just as likely to have been in an accident at some point, so you just never know. What you're looking for is to make sure that you have a solid base, a solid foundation, you know, that things open and close properly. You know, people always have changed the radios, there's been alarms installed, so that's another thing is, you know, how much of the wiring is maybe hacked into and cut. And things replaced. So just take a look, see, do the windows work, do the locks work, the dome lights, interiors, and all your signals and everything else. That's super important to look out for. And then it's just the rest of your mechanics, guys. But the reality is, you almost don't even care about the engine, the transmission, or brakes or anything like that anymore. That's not where the money is. You know, you can buy a 5-liter motor for, you know, probably under $1,000 Panda intake that's used, mind you, but that's not where the value of these cars is anymore. The value is in a solid foundation that is rust free, that isn't twisted, that hasn't been completely wrecked. And with that said, there's some cars that have been wrecked that have actually been put together real nice. So it's not always about making sure like, oh, you know, the car's had a fender change, I don't want it, or oh, it's had a paint job, I don't want it. Well, there's some really nice solid cars that have had paint work, that have had work done to them, that are definitely worth investing in. You just need to know what you're looking for, and that's sort of the purpose of this video. This car, again, perfect example, right? Original 5-liter 5-speed car. If I told you it had nitrous on it and a T-handle, a shift light with racing seats, and you know, battery mounted in the trunk, you probably get scared away. If you're looking for something original and solid, you'd be like, this car's been abused and beat on. Well, the reality is this car is actually, it's a really good catch in my opinion, because it's only got 126,000 original kilometers, which is like 70,000 miles. You know, there is no rust. The torque boxes are fine. It's been subframe connected, so it's not twisted. This is a solid, rust-free car that has had a really, really bad paint job, unfortunately. But you know what? You can paint it. And just to find something that's this clean and this solid is getting harder and harder to find these days. So to have that original 5-liter 5-speed car, lower mileage, does it have a bad paint job? Yes. Did I buy it? Of course I did. You know, I got a good deal on it. Is it a $20,000 car? No. A lot of money underneath the hood though. So it's going to be a really good car as a project, or for somebody else to own and drive. And that's my video, guys, just to go over this, give you guys my tips and tricks and thoughts on buying a used Foxbody now in 2020. So you got to look out for those things. There's a lot of other little areas that you guys can look up and find other videos for that'll help you out. Just kind of freestyled this one as I figured I owed it to the people that were asking me all the questions on what to look for, so on and so forth. So, you know, you compare this 88 against the 93 Project Blank that I'm building. You know, that car's original paint. It's really easy to see that there's been no accidents, there's been no paint correction, there's been no nothing. That's a super solid car. But when I have this one at half the price, you can kind of build this one the way that you would want. You don't need to be afraid to modify it, right? Because if you buy that 93 and that Project Blank, you're not going to want to start cutting things up or shaving engine bays or doing all those types of things. The car's too clean for that. This one, good solid base. Somebody's already done some mods. Go ahead, have a heyday, build it the way that you want, customize, modify it. That's why the yellow 93 over here, it was a clean, solid original car all the way around, but you know, the rust in the strut towers, corrosion in other places, I'm gonna modify it because, you know, it's kind of lucky that it has me as an owner so I can save it. But yeah, it's kind of too far gone in one direction to worry about putting it all the way back to stock and making it original. Same thing here, guys. If you want to modify something, you want to put your own touch on it, look for one of these. You can find them, they're out there. If you have any other questions, feel free to mention them down in the comments. Happy to get back to you guys, but that's it for now.